Hi, Rico Phillips, Director of Cultural Diversity and Inclusion with the Ontario Hockey League. And as part of our Black Heritage Month series on those innovators of today's hockey, I want to introduce to you today Rane Carnegie. Rane, now I can tell you that I know a little bit about you playing in the Ontario Hockey League, but for those that don't know, tell us a little bit about where you played, when you got in, and where your journey took you.
So I was a product of the GTHL, one of the biggest I think the biggest minor hockey league in North America. And I was fortunate to have been selected in the first round of the Ontario Hockey League Bantam draft at the time. Now it's a U16 draft, so times have changed. This goes to show how old I am. And
You and me both.
And it was quite unique because I think that that year that I got drafted, Anthony Stewart also got drafted as well in the first round. And I think that to this date and time today, that's the first time that two black hockey players have been drafted into the Ontario Hockey League in the first round. I could be wrong. Yeah. I know that there's been other first round draft picks, but I think two in the same draft, I think that's the first time that's ever happened. And my experience, Anthony was in Kingston, I'm in Belleville. Kid from Toronto, big city, big lights. It was a little bit intimidating, but I was fortunate enough that I went to a good program that had a lot of good, rich history. Obviously, we know about the Sioux bands who came through the Belleville Bulls program, but prior to that, Belleville had Nathan Robinson, who was an overager, won the OHL scoring championship that year, and Andre DeVoe. So when I was fortunate enough when I got drafted to Belleville, kid from Toronto to a small town, I had representation and visibility that looked like me, that allowed me to kind of get into some comfortable space that normally rookies might not have because it's a young man's world, and when you're a rookie, sometimes it could be a little bit challenging. And our experience coming from AAA to the OHL was, eye-opening. You're so used to being the big fish in the pond that when you go to the next level, it's an eye-awakening experience. But great leadership, great management in Belleville. And made that transition as smooth as possible, and obviously with Andre DeVoe and Nathan Robinson, it made me feel extra comfortable.
That's great. And then, so after your OHL career, everyone's ambitions change as time goes on. Yeah. Where did your ambitions take you?
So I always wanted to, every kid's dream, a hockey player who wants to play in the NHL. And, when you're drafted as high as I was, and I was fortunate to play on the under-17 Team Canada program on Ontario at the time, now the Hockey Canada program of excellence. I had dreams and hopes I was going to, maybe I was a late bloomer. Maybe I wasn't as good as I, had thought I once was. And, but as you get older and you realize that you're kind of aging out, you have to start thinking about what life after hockey looks like. And I kind of fell in my grandfather's footsteps a little bit. When I was done playing hockey, I got into the world of finance. So I was in the currency exchange game in sales in Toronto for close to a decade. And then I got back into coaching not too long ago. And that's what I do now. I have a mentorship hockey company. And I coach in the GTHL at the AAA level, so I'm trying to pay back. But I also have been fortunate enough that I have good bloodlines. Yeah. And my Aunt Bernice started another charity called the Carnegie Initiative with Bryant McBride, and I've been fortunate and blessed to be a part of that journey. And what's to come is anyone's guess, but we're hoping that we can make this game a little bit better, this society a little bit better than what we found it in, and go from there.
I've been a part of the Carnegie Initiative symposiums, I guess is the best way to term them. And I can tell you it's just an incredible collective of people in the diversity and inclusion world of hockey. And the mission is very clear. We have a lot of work to do, but the work is being done. And that's what I found so compelling about what your Aunt Bernice and Bryant McBride and now you are taking over and making sure that we have a push forward. Now, with that said, for those of our viewers that don't know who your grandfather is, can you tell us who your grandfather is?
Superman? I mean, my grandfather is Herb Carnegie. You know, he should have been, by all accounts, the first black hockey player in the NHL. Unfortunately, growing up in the era that he grew up in, it wasn't a reality, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And through those challenges that my grandfather had to overcome, you know, he was fortunate and had the foresight to turn his frustration and anger and pain into something that can affect change in a positive way. One thing that my grandfather used to always say is he wanted to, you know, leave this world better than he found it, and he wanted to be the change that he wanted to see. And in order to do that, you have to have a positive attitude, positive outlook. You got to treat people with respect and fairness and love. And my grandfather was able to transpose himself in a way to allow him to give the best parts of himself in the face of adversity. And I was fortunate enough that he started a foundation with my Aunt Bernice and my grandmother Audrey called Future Aces, which was a character building program that they went all across Ontario and parts of Canada to schools trying to get these future leaders that are going to make a difference in this world. And you know, he's got the Order of Canada, he's got the Order of Ontario, and recently, just this past November, he was enshrined into the Hockey Hall of Fame as a builder. So he has a laundry list of awards and accolades. That's probably for myself, growing up in his footsteps.
Yeah.
I love the Order of Canada. But to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame,
Yeah, for sure.
that's pretty cool. So he was a trailblazer, a role model, and a legend.
Wow, Rane, I can tell you from just being a part of it, the hard work that you personally put in to seeing your grandfather's name going into the Hockey Hall of Fame. He'd be so proud of you. I don't know him, of course, but I know from speaking to your aunt and just understanding who you are, that you are a figment of our future. So on behalf of your grandfather, Herb Carnegie, and all of us, thank you so much for what you provide for hockey and making a more inclusive environment for all of us, and the future's bright.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate this opportunity, Rico.
You're welcome.
Thank you.